so
Well, we're
cute.
going to be talking fashion, so and of all things, so I decided to break out the old classic Hermes tie for you.
Yes, baby.
So, listen, welcome, and as people join us on the feed, I want
Hi,
to.
everybody. I see all my friends over here.
Oh,
Hi.
good. So let me get the formalities out of the way, and welcome everybody to the Museum of Graffiti's Daily Artist Talk, where we get to connect with artists who shape this movement and this culture we call graffiti and writing. I am Carlos Mayer, aka Mayor 139. I am a curator over at the Museum of Graffiti. And for the next hour, we're going to have a very special time speaking with Claudia Gold, aka Claw Money. And for those of you who,
Yay.
yeah, isn't that exciting? For those of you who don't know Claudia, she's got quite a career and a history. She's one of the most prolific public artists with an unsanctioned art career that dates back to 1989. Claw's iconic Claw icon became a ubiquitous fixture in New York City's urban sprawl and since has grown to garner international acclaim. You are going big time for sure. She stands now as a recognized artist, influencer, fashion editor, author, and designer, and she has changed the landscape and set precedents by being the first female artist to do collaborations with big name companies such as Nike, Mountain Dew, NASCAR, Vans, and Calvin Klein. And by the way, Claw owns a shop in New York City and a company called Claw and Company that embodies all that she is with her clothing, her vintage pieces, art, and of course her effervescent, one-of-a-kind Claw Money style. So if you don't know who Claw is, let these iconic claws refresh your memory because they've been everywhere in our city. And so, Claudia, formal welcome to you. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm excited about our talk because we both have things in common. Fashion. We talked about that earlier. We both have a history in
Right.
fashion, but you come out at a very exciting time into the world of fashion, and so we want to explore that with you. How that's kind of been something, the essence of who you are when you were doing graffiti in your early years, and as you became an entrepreneur and a businesswoman and a style influencer. So why don't you let's talk about that, about this fashion and art in your life.
Um, I always wanted to be in fashion since I was a little kid. My parents never really wanted to like spoil me and get me the clothes I wanted. So I was constantly left with just like, like my third or fourth choice. So I would just kind of rework everything, even like as like a little girl. When like punk rock was coming out and I was like taking safety pins and like adorning my clothes, I just wanted to be in fashion very young. Um, sort of I was really interested in graffiti and noticing graffiti as a child, but it wasn't really until I moved into Manhattan um, to go to college at FIT that graffiti sort of really like piqued my interest.
You mentioned that you had some very interesting associations at FIT. Can you tell us who was there with you?
Yeah, my I had this like hot straight Asian dude posse that I was hanging with. Ramon and his brother Johnny, and Ramon just happens to be a Rose Star. And my boy Greg Ma, who worked with Wayne. Wayne's on here. Shout out to Greg Ma. Shout out to Wayne. Um, just coincidentally, and it wasn't until years later, like at a show, I was like, oh damn, it's you, Ramon. Like we used to party, in the late '80s and stuff. So really, it was. I moved to Manhattan. I started going out to nightclubs. Um, I was really like as thick as thieves with Stretch Armstrong. He was like DJing all over town, and that is where I was sort of like introduced to graffiti culture. Actually, you know what? I'm wrong. I met Zephyr when I had just like moved to Manhattan at a club, and he was like dating a friend of mine, and he really is like the most pivotal person in my career as like a influence on me to really like make me want to write graffiti.
And at that time,
Uh,
too, you crossed paths with Sharp and Dondi and Futura and Stash.
right. I was hanging thick with those guys back then. And yes, Wayne, I met you in 1989 in my apartment on 113th Street.
So,
um,
so in short, fashion and graffiti were really kind of in lockstep in your journey.
Correct. They were parallel lives.
You had to,
Sort of one like a daytime and one was a nighttime. You know what I mean?
yes. When we spoke earlier, you mentioned something very interesting to me that there was a shift in your life. You moved to Los Angeles, and something important happened. You started styling, and then all of a sudden, you end up in a role you didn't expect.
Well, so in between me going to FIT and like starting to write graffiti, I dropped out of college. I was doing really badly because I was kind of, really obsessed with nightlife, with painting, and my parents were like, we're not paying for college anymore. And I was like, damn, like I got to get a job. And I said something to one of my assistant professors, like I gotta quit. I gotta quit school and I gotta get a job. And then I was like an assistant designer at like a commodity outerwear company called Brave Fair. They had like a million divisions and a million different labels. And after I kind of like screwed that job up because I was coming in late because I was out all night painting, I was dragging all of Stretch's records to WKCR. Like it was just it wasn't like a good time for me to like launch my fashion career. I started then working in like nightlife. And I'm writing graffiti, I'm working in nightclubs and wild like bars on in the East Village on Avenue A, and just kind of like directionless of like what my future was going to be, right? Just living this like kind of wild life. And then when I moved to Los Angeles, because I had tons of graffiti beef, the cops were after us, like I just had to get the fuck out of Dodge. Um, when I got to Los Angeles is I just said to a friend of mine, Sophie, who I always like credit with like helping me form my major life changing decisions. And Sophie is a very accredited costume designer, Sophie Durakoff, and she's done like Legally Blonde, like a zillion movies. I can't even remember all of them. I was like, I have to get a job. Oh my God, I'm in LA. Like, oh, what do I do? And she said, oh, darling, she's British. Come and you'll work with me as an assistant. We'll smoke cigarettes and like iron clothes, and it'll be like super easy and chill. And from there, my like styling career started.
Right. So then
And we
I want to jump to this part where you become the fashion editor at Swindle, because that was
okay.
really momentous for you. If you look at the slide that I have up, can you tell me something about this period?
Well, this was a really very like interesting period for me. This was um like a real like renaissance period for me. I launched my brand in 2002. I think I started working at Swindle like in 2003. Um and everything, and I was painting a ton of like illegal graffiti back then as well.
And just
Um,
and for people who
I was
don't
just
know,
super active. It was like after 9/11, the city was just in like, you know, crumbles and shambles, and nobody knew what to do, and everybody was like dumbstruck, and it just was a really interesting time. I started working at Swindle, my brand, the magazine, and all of these things like sort of like intersected in a really like
right?
powerful way. That
And
sort
can we
of
tell people that Swindle was published by Roger Gassman and Shepard Fairey?
and Shepard Fair,
Yeah,
right?
that was a
And I really believe that I got that job because of my like graffiti chops.
yeah.
Like it wasn't.
Well,
I don't think they looked at my portfolio or.
no, it seemed like a perfect fit, but it was the launching pad, and fast forward, all of a sudden the brand, you start developing a fashion brand, your brand starts taking off. The New York Times pays attention. In fact, everybody's paying attention to you, seems like right now. How does that, how deliberate were you in terms of kind of making,
Coming above air, kind of.
yeah, yeah,
Um, so I was really happy for Claw and like Claudia Gold to be like two separate people, and that Claudia Gold like worked and like was like styling videos and commercials, catalogs, and being, sort of like this like businesswoman by day, and at night I was super happy to be like painting and like wilding out. Yo, what up? All my peeps are here. Sess is here. My boy Alter Boy.
yeah, they are.
Mafia's here.
We
Um
have a lot to get through, darling. So
anyway,
I'm so
okay.
curious about this period of your life because
So I was asked to after I started working with Roger started working on this movie. And when I was painting graffiti a lot after 9/11, and sort of my brand grew out of like the ashes of me not being able to get any like styling work or catalog work. Nobody was shooting anything in New York. I was wheeling and dealing vintage on the side that I was, like I would like wear or I would like utilize in shoots. All of a sudden all my Japanese clients stopped coming, and my brand was kind of born out of that because people just started to say to me like, "Hey, I see your graffiti. Like, why don't you do like a claw on my Japanese, denim brand? Oh, I have a t-shirt brand. Why don't you do like a claw t-shirt with me?" And then I woke up one day, I was like, "Let me do a claw t-shirt." So sort of like all of this energy was going into sort of propagating the claw. It was like I was advertising my brand on the street illegally. I was making clothes and selling them, and I was shooting them. You know what I mean? It was just sort of all about that. Anyway, I was asked to be in this movie about six different graffiti writers in
infamy.
America, infamy, and I was like, I don't know. I don't, I'm really happy to sort of be not, no, people don't know I'm Claw. I felt like very invisible in a good way. You know what I mean? People didn't know who I was.
Right. So there was a healthy
And,
balance because your visibility came through the clothing, right?
right.
We
And so I had a friend, and she was like, "It's really important. You need to do this you need to do the movie and let these, young women know that you're out here." I think at the same time I was in this book called Autograph that my across the street neighbor was putting together of portraits of graffiti writers, which was kind of like unprecedented at the time because they were all like active graffiti writers of that era. So it was like, the Iraq guy, Sace and
Mhm.
Sems and Earsnod and Surf and Mint, Same and Made,
Right.
uh, whatever. I was in the book, and that was like a big deal. I guess it was a. I was just like on this like press junket for the book in every like newspaper
Was
and
that
through.
was that helping your fashion brand? Was that helping launch your fashion brand?
I guess so.
Like, were
Yeah,
you
no,
focused on that?
there were a lot of eyes on like my name, you know what I mean, in my face and my image, though you didn't see the claw in that image, you know what I
Right.
mean?
In terms of the graffiti, that gives you a certain power, empowerment, and meaning in that space.
Correct.
How were you defining that? You mentioned that Claw wasn't just a brand; that there was something rather empowering about the brand itself.
Well, I think, I've always used the claw as long as I've been painting the claw, what up say, as a message board. I've always written things inside my claw to sort of communicate with the reader, the experience. I'm, not only communicating with them like visually, I'm also like asking them to read something. And I think that was very like a powerful thing, and people really kind of like related to it.
Yeah.
And the claw then became like a symbol of feminism and a symbol of a million different things, also very malleable, and you could take it at what you want it to be, right? If you love cats and you see a freaking cat paw and you're like, hey, I really relate to this.
Right.
That's what I
So,
wanted. It's
so
like it's sort of like a dumb symbol that you can like assign your own meaning to.
right. Claudia, if we look at the image that I put up, and the reason I chose these images, because in fact you do see your claw as a gold charm in
Oh
all of
yeah.
this. But why I put this is because these images from your book, they're wonderful. They are like these mood boards, right? That really kind of tell so much about you and the period, the time, where Gucci jewelry, the bamboo earrings, and as we click through them, the things that inform us about you and that period. Um, it, and so, was this a way for you to develop your brand? Like you're kind of like this kind of like combination of high fashion, streetwear, hip hop.
Right. So, my brand is like the amalgamation of me, which is a million different things. I'm influenced by so many different things. I'm influenced by hip hop. I'm influenced by rock and roll. Um, I'm very influenced by New York City and all the different cultures that sort of clash together and then melt into um, sort of this unique and mixed up, hodgepodge of convergence of like cool. So this book was sort of like an homage to all the things I love, maybe letting you understand who I am and what influences me.
Yeah,
And I've always been about sort of mixing the high with the low
exactly. And this is what I love.
and elevating the low to high
Exactly.
and taking the high and dragging it down. You know what I
Exactly.
mean?
Yeah, and what I love about this image per se is the Flowmaster ink next to the Versace glasses and the Cazelle, and so this is and I love that you're kind of explaining this to us because it really speaks to uh, those things that have been culturally influencing your work and your products, right? Like the Cazelle glasses and the Gucci, and then how you kind of really make them contemporary, make them your own. And you have a term for this. We spoke about this earlier because I was asking you about the reappropriation or pseudo collaborations with other
Mm-hmm.
imagery under and the moniker PMS, which I love. So won't you build on that in terms of both uh, brand conceptualization and brand messaging? Tell us about PMS, but also tell us about this kind of reappropriation of somebody else's shit in making it your own.
So PMS and reappropriation are like two totally separate subjects. So which one do you want first?
Let's start with PMS.
Okay, so PMS is my crew. What up? What up, my peeps? Charlie, what's up? Red skis out there. So PMS is my crew that I started with my homegirl Shauna back in the day on the upper west side. And everybody with their graffiti crew and their three-letter graffiti crews meaning things. I just thought it was so feminine. It was so something that like a man never would kind of relate to. Oh my god, Utah's out here. It was aggressive and funny, and that's where PMS came from. And then of course, you know, we just develop acronyms all day, you know what I mean?
Right. Well, but
But
Power Money Sex was the central acronym.
power, money, sex, baby. We want what it's all about, right? Oh yeah, Puffin Mad Skunk. Bill knows.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like I used to have like list and list and list, and we would, you know, Psycho Mongrel Squad. So yeah, so PMS, it has only the finest men and women in it, and I have you know, been lucky enough to like paint with some of the best and most notable women in the world.
So let's talk about this reappropriation, which I get a kick out of.
Yes, I call it forced collaboration.
Forced collaboration. Thank you for clarifying.
So I'm sick of making clothes, to be honest with you. I'm tired of it, right? I'm tired of printing t-shirts. I'm tired of sort of like doing like more of like a mass launch, and I want to go back to what I do best, which is make singular products, make one of a kind jackets. So why not extend that into t-shirts, which is sort of like my favorite thing. So I just started taking my love of vintage and you know, my brand, and making these collaborations where I find stuff secondhand.
Did you ever get a cease and desist on any of this?
Oh, honey, like hundreds. I've gotten so many cease and desist, but on these one-offs, it's a singular T-shirt. It's not. I'm not making. You know, it's just one of one.
Is there a legal statute for that, or is
There is no legal statute for it, so hopefully nobody is watching this. I didn't hear it.
Yeah.
I don't know anything.
Well, the other thing,
but you know what I mean. I get a cease and desist. I'll cease and desist.
right?
You know
But
what I mean?
the other thing I find is that you've been very clever in terms of the branding and the messaging and the product development, and you even came out with nail polish,
Right.
which is super cool. And I mean, folks, you can go to her website now and pick this up. And just 1 second, I want to just welcome
It's
everybody.
at the Museum Graffiti Gift Shop too.
Exactly. And so I want to take a moment up to pause and welcome everybody who's joining us in the last couple minutes to the Museum of Graffiti Artist Live Talk. And today we have Claw Money, the infamous, and we're talking about her journey. We started out with fashion and what has influenced her, and this idea of creating this product, right? This brand, Claw. I mean, you know, the nail polish thing, really, when you first brought it to the museum, I thought it was genius. It of course, lends itself, but you did something really unique in terms of creating this opportunity for people to get little claws painted on their nails.
Oh yeah, no. Nail customization and nail art is like, I'm all over that. So sadly, okay, you know, if we can talk business, this should have been like a huge, amazing project. But I had a big falling out with my makeup partner. And sadly, I've opted out of this deal after this release.
Were you bound to it that you can't re-release it on your own?
I can and maybe I shall because I feel like this is really so in line with all of my like brand DNA. It's also something I really love.
I mean, if you can
I'm
look
really into
if you
I
can
love it.
if you can look at the slide, I mean, your brand DNA is big. I mean, if you're getting billboards in Hollywood,
So I was asked for by Project Runway, and I asked them, are they hiring? I thought they were hiring Claudia Gold because I do a ton of brand work and advertising work. Um, and then they were like, just put your claws all over it. And I was like, oh, you want claws? Like that's a whole different like ball game. Like you got you got to pay like double. Like you know what I mean?
right?
And they wanted to like attract like a younger, more progressive audience. So they figured like, but let's put some claws on it. I don't know if that like helped. I just think it's like the show is a little old. They need some new hosts or whatever.
I mean, did the exposure help you though? Was that something that?
I don't know. It was like people were like freaking out and sending me like tons of pictures. I didn't understand the relation. I figured like, why not have me on the show and I could like talk to the contestant. You know what I mean? Like let's link this up. That's what I do when brands come to me. I always try to pitch like bigger and better. But I guess there was like a big disconnect. But it was a fun project, and
it looks it. Now you have. I want to start segueing into the commercial work and the really
okay.
cool projects you've done. Tell me about this project.
This was a Nike project that they were expanding their campus, and they wanted to put a bunch of like really amazing, fantastic murals. Where it was like Stash, Gory, Chino, SP1, a bunch of international artists, my girl Human, my girl Nardstar, like so many people, like I can't even remember. It was incredible project, and it had to be basketball themed.
Well, one thing that came out of that, perhaps, and you could correct me, was that um, you got down and you did a beautiful collaboration with them with sneakers.
Oh yeah, no, that was in 2007. Yeah.
Tell me about this
Um,
collaboration. This is pretty epic because you get to
so
actually.
yeah, so I was the first woman ever to do like an artist series sneaker release for Nike. It was a really big deal. Um, it took like 2 years to get it together or something. I thought it was gonna release a year after Infamy, but it released like sort of at the same time as my book did, which was like a really huge year for me as well, 2007. Um, so yeah, I did my favorite sneaker, the Vandal, and I was supposed to also do an Air Force One, but it didn't come to fruition, and I've put pictures of the sketch up on my stories.
Super cool. I want to move on to
Yeah.
something else. You, as the socially conscious artist, and the
Yes.
things that you engaged, in terms of your activism. And it's fascinating because I didn't know that much about that part of your journey.
Mm.
But we talked about it, and yeah, please share some of that.
I think that like brands and um, you know, people that like relate to me, they like get it that the claw sort of comes with a message, and that message is always about like empowerment and like equality and sort of striving always with women in mind. No offense, guys. Love you too, but I'm my like passion is really to like empower women and make them feel that they really can do anything, and sort of live the life they want. So I guess when Bernie Sanders, artists for Bernie Sanders, contacted me, they thought that that message really, rang true. And believe it or not, when they asked me to do this in like 2015, his whole platform was weed. And I was like really into that. And I was like, oh yeah, let me do like a whole like weed thing. And they were like, can you do something like more focused on women's rights? I was like, okay. Because I just feel like I don't even have to. Don't you know that's what it's about? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get it. So moving forward, because as colorful as you are, and you have this tremendous story about people around you, people who have influenced you, people you write with, and I chose these two slides from your book. The two very interesting people I know and like a lot. Patty Astor, who's rebellious and really a trendsetter in her day, and
Totally.
West FC, who's a brilliant and talented and forward-thinking artist, and of course early streetwear.
Literally like the best. Like literally like the best
Good people,
guy.
beautiful people. And so tell me, let's talk about people in your life that have helped you shape who Claw Money is.
Well, I would say, um, you know, it's definitely like Zephyr was like my muse, or my like I wanted to I wanted to be him. you know, um he was such a huge like influence on me, both like artistically and like personally. I never give Sharp ever like any dap, but like Sharp, I dated Sharp like in 89 or something, and believe it or not, like a lot of like his ideas and principles of like what art is, like he really like schooled me on a lot of stuff. I would have to say like Dante and like Devo, Dante TC5, always taking me, like coming with me to paint and, asking me to do better. Devo KGB, always looking out.
And you've always collaborated with women. It's one thing I like about you. You painted with Pink,
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah,
with
yeah. Okay,
Miss
yeah, I'm almost there.
17.
West for making me like do my clothes and like really like push it and have this vision, help me like do all my outerwear stuff that was with his brand in Japan and
Mm-hmm.
Sons. Um, Also Miss 17 for dragging me out and making me paint graffiti with her.
Utah as well. You
Um,
painted with her.
Absolutely, all of my girls who know who you are, who like constantly inspire me and make me want to do better, and but like in a nutshell, for fashion, who really helped me, Minya Quirk, what West, and
I,
many others,
I,
many others.
I know. I love that because you were very active on the scene, and if you look at the screen, I love this image of you in front of the train with your claw and the Utah throw up. Tell us about that experience. Were you afraid going into the
So,
tunnels? Because
so I'll tell you, I think that night painting with Utah, and I hope, oh, there she is, my cutie, was like sort of the last, I think that was like the last night I ever did anything like illegal. I knew that like Infamy was coming out. She was like, we have to fucking do this, Claw. And she's a young, fit, she's just shimmying up like the train, like I'm, climbing up. I'm like throwing my like body over the fence, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm gonna fall, I'm gonna die. And I'm like, oh my god, she's gonna think I'm like so whack. I can't even like get on top of the train to get like over into the yard, like. And we did it. It was like super fun. We were totally like adrenalized, and that like cemented a friendship of, it must be like, over 15 years. But shortly after that, young Miss went wild, and
but you kept on
became
painting through the years.
the most infamous woman in the land.
So it's interesting because you were bombing a lot with the club, but also you were practicing style writing. You were trying to get good at style writing, and you associated with some of the best style writers, from the FC crew to the COD crew and the TC5 crew.
Mm-hmm. I like to piece. I always like to piece. I pieced before I even had a throw up. Like to me, piecing is like the most beautiful. I mean, obviously my throw up to me is the most effective. But yeah, I like to freaking I love to piece, you know what I mean? I want to be everything in graffiti or whatever. I want to do it all.
Yeah, of course. One of the things too is, again, you painted with some of the finest artists. What were you learning from them? What were you walking away with from all of this? What was the
Well, anybody who's painted with me, and there's a lot of people on here who have, and if you look at the Cess wall, you know that I love to not do any work. So Cess is like, yo, I got an outline. I'm like, oh, bet, like, let's do your outline. Like, this isn't my outline, obviously. It's a Cess outline. So I love to make my friends help me make my piece better every time. If I'm painting with you, I'm like, oh, I can't like reach over here. Yo, let me get that purple. Like, I'm the worst. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, this piece is wonderful.
Right, Wayne? Wayne knows. I'm like, hey, you think you can
So what was it like for you to be around boys so much, all the guys? This image that I'm showing is you're with your homies, and of course you're tagging on the
I fucking love guys. I love them.
But were you not intimidated or afraid, or what was that relationship? Did you feel you had to prove yourself to them?
I mean, I feel like on so many levels I did, but like people who got me and who like clicked with me, someone else that like I didn't mention that like, is very like important in my career is like Psycho TC5, who really like believed in me and wanted me, to put me down so I could be like enveloped in the TC5 crew love and sort of get more respect than I was getting. The guys that got me, and the guys that didn't. And then either I grew on them, they grew on me, or we just never clicked. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're an acquired taste.
I am, but I grow on you like ivy.
I ask you because New York is such a tough love place. And I'm trying to, because I remember writing with Pink back in the days, and I know how difficult and challenging it was for her, for Lady Hart and Linda and all the other artists back then. And
so it's like, you know what, Lady Pink Lady Pink should know that, and she should bestow some like tender love to the young women.
Well, she does,
That's all I'm saying.
but what I'm trying to say to you in terms of acceptance, the
Yes.
you're having to bomb hard. Did you feel was that part of having to prove yourself, putting yourself at
Yes.
risk?
Yes. But in the end, I think I was like, I felt like I had to prove it to other people. And then I realized I was proving it to myself that this was about me and that this was the first time in my life I was actually excelling at something where I was making a dent for myself, where I felt like everything else I was doing when I was younger, dance lessons, even the art I was doing, like, wasn't speaking to me. And finally with graffiti, uh, like it was something that I felt, I guess, at first that I was trying to prove myself, but then it was my own mission
Right.
after that.
What's so fantastic is it's been an incredible journey. And it's interesting the way we started this conversation. But what I want to share with folks is that it culminates in this book, Bombshell. And it's great because we showed some of those images that are in the presentation that are in the book. But it's like, can you, when you reflect, do you take time to reflect as to how crazy this was, this journey, and that you can now look at it from a safer place. And
Yeah, it seems like I was watching a movie that it like I did that. It seems like I was a different person. A lot of the choices I made, I don't know if I would have made now.
if you can go
But
back, if you can go back and change anything, what would you change?
I don't think I would change anything except um like the my perception of myself before my courage and my like tenaciousness uh began working for me, like through graffiti. How come, like, what was missing before that? Like, why um wasn't I fulfilled in something else? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, was it your home? Was it your environment? Was it
Yeah, maybe I think I felt very like invisible.
invisible because you were an outsider because of your creativity, or was it something else?
No, I think I had like just very like a very domineering parents, and my performance in school was not where they wanted it to be, and therefore they didn't like really see me for what I wanted to be seen as. So I felt, you know what I mean? That's what I
Absolutely.
always like
Absolutely. I
trace
think
it
I think
to.
I can relate to that, and I think most of the writers who are joining us can as well. So I want to, as we start winding down, I want to ask you a question. And how are you spending your time these days? In lieu of the coronavirus and the change that we're facing in terms of interacting with people and engagement and business as well.
Well, I spend a lot of time like cooking, cleaning, homeschooling my kid, laundry. I'm trying to still like run my business. We've been getting tons of orders. So I've been running to storage and packing stuff and going to the post office, trying to support the post office. After all, the post office has supported me, as you can see from this slide. I've been making tons of stickers, going back to the essence. I'm putting them in all the orders because I'm very like thankful for the business. Um, I am not trying to get like too caught up in doing like a huge project or something so um time consuming, because I am all over the place. I spend a lot of time thinking, and I spend a lot of time on Instagram
I've noticed.
talking and talking and sharing my thoughts about what's going on, and try to keep people informed and awake.
If I could say this, I'm thoroughly entertained by the way you post. It is both.
Well, don't you think that like Instagram is like graffiti? You kind of like
Well,
throw it out there
it
and
can be,
like.
but again, you inject some wit into it, and also creativity and light into it, and you're self-effacing, which is wonderful. I think you're not bashful that way, and that gives us a little bit of light and humor. And I mean, I can speak for myself. Who knows what other people may think of that? But it's interesting to see you adapt, all of us adapt in this day with social media as we are right now in terms of communicating and feeling connected once again.
I think it's a great way to stay connected with a lot of people. And I also, think that humor is, Winston Churchill said, it's like like when you laugh, it's like taking a little vacation.
Huh,
You need it,
I like
you
that.
know?
So
Yeah.
I want to ask you about your visit to Miami when you came to the museum to give a talk, and that was wonderful, by the way, because
It did seem like it's like a year ago. It was like so long ago, and it was only like a month and a half ago.
it was, yeah, it does seem that way. So
Time was so like everything was so different. Like everybody's sort of headspace. Just things were just yeah. It was good times.
yes, and so when you think about your participation in this um, culture, and you see how far we're going and how far we're pushing. And when you came here, there was a home and a place for you. You were part of this big
Hmm.
story. And then you shared your story. What was your impression? And give me some insight on as to when you left us, what was your thought about what you just experienced?
Well, to be honest with you, it was the very beginning of all of the crazy warnings. When I was like disembarking, it was sort of like, uh-oh, coronavirus, and it was like all over everything. I think everybody was starting to go into panic mode. I was really impressed, and I loved all of like the historical stuff in the museum. I love the fact that there's like installations in the back and artwork for sale, because that's so important for the culture, for this to be taken seriously and monetized,
Yeah,
you know.
again, I think it's about us creating the opportunities to um, maintain a sustainable ecosystem for ourselves and our ideas.
You have to. How else could you stay in business? Yes, PMS, please make sales. Allison knows. That's really what it is.
So, folks, I want to take some questions for Claude. So, does anyone have any questions for Claudia? Please submit them in our final minutes so that at least we can have some engagement with you guys who have joined us for the past hour.
But I also, I mean, I really like the whole like Florida story, the Miami story, and I know that some of the like it's difficult. I've heard from a lot of Miami writers that they want more representation, but it's really hard to do that when you're talking about graffiti that's decades older.
No, it's not hard.
Um
I don't think it's hard. I think it's just it's a space issue, right? And it is a time issue too. Remember, we just opened up. I mean, I
it's just no, but don't you feel like in graffiti culture in general that nobody's happy, everybody's complaining, It's like a lot of bitching
Well,
and entitlement.
there are gentle ways to deflect that, right? For those that
Right.
don't feel included, it's like, look, there are more than enough spaces out there uh, that you can either create or ask for in order to get your work or your story out there. And the internet is brilliant that way in that it allows us this space to really, in long form, tell our stories, right? And so,
Right.
the whatever criticism we may get as a new institution, well, I get it, and we are open to people's histories and their stories, and we welcome in the diversity of people into our programming, and that's one of the
Of
things
course.
we decided with the artist talks, right? Because it's to have not just a boys club of talking heads, to have women who have been contributing, women from all parts of the world. And again, none of this will ever satisfy everyone, but the fact is that you yourself can do it is important.
Oh yeah. So I think it's great. And it's just like an unfortunate timing. You guys just started, like I just saw the wheels like moving, and then everybody had to come to like a crazy halt, Um, but I hope that we're all up and running, if not soon, like
Well, soon. So
next year. Like
I
I don't
know.
know. Like I don't
I have a thought. I have somebody that has something to add to the conversation. Dero TFA
know.
asks, "Would you have painted a train with Dero?"
I mean, Jiro's God. I mean, come on. Blue, don't be retarded.
um, Gem.
I watched the Wayne talk, and I didn't realize that Jiro was Wayne's mentor.
Oh yeah,
But now I see it. Now I see the whole painting in front of me.
no. Again, that's why these talks are important, right? They reveal so much of our story. We're all really like, forget being staying 6 feet apart. We're really like 6 inches of separation in this culture.
Right.
So okay, so um, let's just throw this out there. Dream project. Once this is all over, what's the dream project?
Um, I would like to. I was talking to this hotel, and this all sort of like fell through, about doing both the interior and exterior. And selling art like within the rooms or something.
Hmm.
I was like really like into this, and this project disappeared, and I realized like that was my dream project. And now it's gone from my grasp. Um I think I would really like to do more like interactive community based murals with youth groups. But then, the kids like really annoy me when I have to pay with them sometimes.
Well, well, let me say this. If you want to get involved with youth and you want to contribute to them, you could always submit a drawing for our coloring book, which
I
we
did. I have made
you
your
did.
coloring book.
Ah,
I did, I
awesome.
did, I did. I'm in the coloring book, Little Claw City. No, I've done tons of stuff with like kids, but I don't know. I would like to focus more maybe on like
Your own
if
kids,
there was like,
perhaps?
oh, I need to do art with my child.
I love it.
But yeah, no, I like to help the kids, and I like to I did a lot of stuff with like the Lower East Side Girls club. Um I think for a lot of the kids, they lack like passion when it
Yeah.
comes to the actual project. then you see them years later and they're like, that was so amazing when we painted that thing. I was like, you guys looked miserable. Like, but it does have sort of like an after effect on them. So I don't know. I want to get back to painting. I miss painting large scale murals. I've been sort of out of commission, had 2 broken legs last year. So here's to 2020.
Oh. Well, Claude, I really want to thank you so much for sharing your story. Again, you are one of a kind and just have this unlikely story, very early on, actually. Now, again, because you've set this blueprint, there are others following in your footsteps right now, trying to, let's just say.
I want that they should come, they should surpass me. Let me tell you something. When these women shine, I shine. Come take the gauntlet. It's yours. I would love to be behind the scenes and be just like a momager. I'd be like the best manager.
How come
I really would.
How come I don't believe that?
I would be, because I'd just be running shit. But sadly I have my own fledgling career to attend to.
No, exactly. You have a legacy to maintain.
Right, a legacy to maintain. My empire to watch over.
There it is. Claude, I want to thank you so much once again.
Thank you. And thank everybody for tuning in and listening to our talk.
Yes, and until tomorrow, I want to thank you all for joining us. And again, visit Claw Money at Claw Money on Instagram, clawmoney.com. So you can go and shop some of her goods as well. We got
It's everywhere.
Yeah, we got to pimp the goods.
It's in all the stores. Go
Yes.
Hit the stores, kids.
Yes. And also, we carry some of your goods at the Museum of Graffiti Shop.
Yes.
Well, so please visit the Museum of Graffiti Shop to get some Claw Money goods as well.
And if you can, I support small, and artists. Small
Exactly. I think that's been kind of the message throughout all of this, that we need to be supportive of one another in one form or another, whether it's online or offline. So again, I want to thank you again, and
thank you.
Big hug. I
really appreciate it. It was an honor to do that show. To be honest with you, I'm really I'm very obsessed with what's going on in the world. But you guys can watch my stories because I talk about it incessantly, and you don't have to watch it here. But it really was a pleasure, and muchos luck in the future, and luck for all of us.
Thank you, the one and only Claw Money. You see the graphic I made for you?
I love it.
There it is.
All right.
Take care.
Bye, Reds. Bye, Dero. Bye, Utah. Wayne.
Big Chino. Up, everybody. Again, love same place tomorrow, 7 p.m.
Laya. Okay. Bye.
Take care.